Hello and welcome back to another video from me, FPL Crusader. Call me Luke. Today we are looking at game week 36. 3 game weeks to go. So now you need to make the decision whether or not you want to play it safe. If you're at the top of a mini league or you got a really good rank, some people will be trying to play it safe. If you're like me and you're chasing rank, you'll be looking at transfers, you'll be looking at differentials, and you really need to climb those ranks. So let's get straight into the best transfers, explosive differentials, and later on we'll go with my team reveal. But first things first, let's have a look at a few things we all love doing, and that's the stats. But the first stat we're looking at is the most wanted for this week. Kevin De Bruyne, 300,000 transfers is quite high considering he is a bit of a minutes risk this week. He does have Southampton. If he plays, he's probably going to return. 300,000 transfers. There's really 2 teams that dominate the transfers so far this week. The second man is Johan Wissa with 225k so far. Ipswich away. Mate, Ipswich and Southampton are absolutely being targeted. But if you look long term, Wissa is guaranteed 90 minutes pretty much. He's got Fulham the week after, and then his Wolves on the final week. And that could be very interesting away to Wolves. They might need to win that to get Europe. Especially now that the British teams are guaranteed to win the Europa. If Palace upset City, then they really need to win every game to get in there. I don't think my mighty Fulham can get there anymore. We had that one loss and we went from 7th to 11th, which is devastating, but I'll move on. And the third most transferred person in is Vardiol, 205k. I would highly recommend not spending a transfer on your defense. But if you have to, I guess Vardiol's good. He's pretty much going to play every game. Honorable mention is Mbeumo, who's just behind everyone else at 200k. His effective ownership will be over 100k this week. So just keep that in the back of your mind. But that's what the rest of the FPL managers are doing. Let's have a look at expected points. This is towards the end of the season, and Mo Salah's right up there. But as we know, they have already won the league. There's a potential that I won't say they'll take their foot off the gas because they got Arsenal this week, but they don't really need it. Mo does want to get that the record for most goal involvements, but I'm not really sure if he's going to be able to, considering they haven't really got anything to play for anymore. Marmoush is right up there with Haaland coming back, though. It is a concern with Marmoush. He does play better with Haaland, I'll give him that much, but Haaland's been out so long, he might just take up all the chances. And Mbeumo, as we know, is going to be there. This could be a swan song for Brentford. He'll probably go to a bigger club next year. Chris Wood has got a pretty good fixture on. They've got Leicester at home this week. Isaac should have fun against Chelsea at home. Interesting to see Sonny there. I didn't expect to see Son or anyone from Spurs there, to be honest. Palmer's away to Newcastle. I've always said Palmer's a fantastic player, but he doesn't always show up in big games. Much like Haaland doesn't. Seems to go missing in like Champions League finals or semi-finals, whatever. Really amazing flat track bullies. But will Palmer do the business away to Newcastle? I'm not entirely sure. That's why I'm not really trying to bring him in. Kunu's going to have a strong finish to the season. He's auditioning for a better team, and that could potentially be Manchester United. Saka and Kluivert also rounding up there. Wissa is just behind. I literally couldn't fit the graphic in with Wissa on, so I think he's like 2 or 3 places behind Kluivert. But that's the expected points towards the end of the season. In theory, your transfers should come from this slide. Speaking of slides, Rob T. I reached out to Rob T, asked him if I can use some of his graphics, and I've got a few of them on this week, predominantly because I see at the top there, Fulham is 52% win, and they've got the best chance of winning at home, apart from, or not the best chance, but I just saw them there and I thought I want Fulham on my slide. So thank you to Rob T. Jump over onto the socials and follow him. He does amazing graphics. You've seen it on all your favorite content creators. The reason why is because they look amazing and there's amazing detail in them. As we see here, the match odds, Fulham's pretty much going to win here, 52%. We're in a bit of a rut. If we are supposed to get to Europe, or if we're going to get to Europe, we need to win 2 out of the next 3 games. It starts with Everton, then there'll be a showdown next week against Brentford, which is a derby, so anything can happen. We've got Man City on the final day. It's not going to happen. So we need to win everything. We should win this game at Everton, but they could pull they could pull something out of the bag. Beto is playing well. Brentford against Ipswich, they're 61% to win. Manchester City at Southampton at 80% to win. That's extremely high. Wolves Brighton's a bit of a 50-50 for me. Same with Bournemouth and Villa. You'd probably back the home teams in those games, especially considering Brighton. I don't really think they can get to Europe, considering if you look at their fixtures coming up, I don't think they can get there. Bournemouth can. Villa are fighting for a higher place, but I don't think they can quite get there. But I think Bournemouth can. Newcastle should beat Chelsea. Manchester United 50% against West Ham. There's a high chance they'll heavily rotate due to the Europa League final, or maybe just a Europa League hangover. Forest 70-odd%. Leicester, they'll win that at home. You should get a clean sheet out of that one. Tottenham and Palace is a 50-50, and Liverpool and Arsenal. But realistically, you probably back up Liverpool there, considering Arsenal have been bundled out of the Champions League, and then who knows what they're actually playing for, and who knows if they have never team to beat Liverpool. I don't particularly think they do. Another graphic here from Rob T is the projected goals from 36 to 38. Well, I'll concentrate predominantly on 36 for now. Man City should get 3 goals against Southampton. That's almost a given. Brentford looking at 2.2, Forest at 2.3. These teams here are probably going to score the most goals throughout the next 3 games. Liverpool, Arsenal, City. Everyone's probably still got Salah, and we'll have at least one City asset. In terms of Arsenal, I can give or take, because we just don't know where it's coming from. Is it coming from Marino? Is it coming from Rice? Trossard? I mean, we want it to come from Saka, but it probably won't. Same with Villa. They spread their goals very, very well. Evan Nielsen being back hampers a little bit of Dango and Kluivert, which is an issue. And if we go down to Brentford, it could be Sade, it could be Wissa, it could be Mbeumo. We just don't know. The talisman for Newcastle and Forest should score their goals, and Brighton realistically are irrelevant for the rest of the season. Projected clean sheets this week. Thank you again, Rob. 46% for Forest. Matt Sells there. He's already got the most amount of clean sheets there. Arsenal don't have many good clean sheet chances, and you'd expect on the last day away to Southampton, the Saints will want to score a goal in their last home game in the Premier League before they get bundled out. Could be their last chance to go ahead of Derby's miserable 11-point total as well. Right now, they're equal with them. So Forest looking good for game week 36. Also Fulham as well, 36%, and Brentford. Next week, City is still high. So is Chelsea. Even though they've got Manchester United at home, that's very interesting. Still 36%. That has to do with the Europa. But then in game week 37, Bournemouth, Newcastle, and Arsenal are all right up there. Everton, Leicester, and Southampton for all of them combined. That will probably be when I'm playing my bench boost, because I've still got that up my sleeve. And looking at that, do I bring in the Bournemouth keeper? Kepa, his name is. Then it'll be Bournemouth and Houston double up. Interesting to see. Anyway, let's focus on what we can do to make our teams better moving forward. Let's have a look at some diamond differentials. Now, I sent out a short during the week. I had Yuri Tielemans on it, and he's now yellow flagged in the FPL. So I've taken him off this. He's 50% chance to play. He does have a hamstring injury. If he doesn't play, his form is so good that it makes Aston Villa play worse, and I'd expect Bournemouth, the Cherries, I'd expect them to play much better. They're playing at home, which I'm not going to say it's a guaranteed win, but it's probably looking very strong. So my diamond differentials for game week 36 are Anthony Elanga, Savinho, he should start and he should do very well, and also Ryan Sessegnon, because he is playing in that wing position. He's got 6 goals and assists at 2.4 XGI. We've got Everton this week. Then, as I said, we've got Brentford and City. So it's a 1-week punt, it really is. But if you wanted to bring someone in, a defender who's actually playing as a winger, I know we always say defenders are wing backs and they do very good. He's playing as an actual winger for our team. He's looking very good. Savinho, 12 goals and assists at 11 XGI. If he starts, he should do some trickery against Southampton. I don't think they'll be able to handle him this week. And, of course, Anthony Elanga. He hasn't had a lot of goals and assists over the last few game weeks. He does have 15 at 8.7 XGI, as per the rest of the Nottingham Forest team, completely outperforming their XGI. But Leicester could play him back into form. He's there or thereabouts. The underlyings are pretty good. I'm not saying they're amazing, but they've been pretty good. But this could be the type of thing that could shoot him back into form. Diamond differentials, Elanga, Savinho, and Sessegnon. If you want a one-week punt, I'd go for one of these three myself. If we're talking about the captaincy conundrum for this week, honourable mentions are Haaland and Marmoush. Yes, we are heavily City-focused. We've got Kevin De Bruyne, Brian Mbeumo, and Chris Wood for game week. And it's an absolute no-brainer. All three of them are playing the relegated teams, promoted relegated teams. And all three of them should be the talisman for their team this week. Chris Wood, expected points for this one game week is 6.3 points. They've just got to fire some crosses into him and he'll do good. I mean, just don't overthink it, Forrest. You need to get yourself back into contention. If you want to play in Europe, if you want to play in the Champions League next season, this has to be a slam dunk. Expecting 6.1 points this week is Brian Mbeumo. He's on penalties. He's fanging it down the right. He's playing well with Wissa. He's playing well with Sade. He's travelling to Ipswich. If he doesn't score one, maybe two returns, I'll be very surprised. If everyone goes to captain him, it means he will definitely not score, but we have to be in it to win it. Southampton away sees Manchester City and Kevin De Bruyne. You see from his heat map there, he is all over the attacking third. I don't expect Haaland to start, but I expect him to come on and get some minutes. So I expect Marmoush to start personally. But as all those games are starting at the same time, you can probably wait a little bit if you really want to, if you're in the right time zone. If you're in Australia, I think it's like 10:30 p.m. So we need to get the late mail before then. Kevin De Bruyne has probably got the potential upside to score more, but I think I'll be going with Mbeumo myself. But you can go with whoever you want. My crosshairs for this week for the midfielders are the De Bruyne. Expected points is 11 to the end of the season. Elanga, as we already spoke about, 12 points towards the end of the season. And Jared Bowen, expected 13 points for the end of the season. They've got Manchester United this week. They should do some damage there. They've got Forest at home. Now, we know Forest are very good when they play at home, but they don't travel very well. Hopefully, Potter can get this team running. And then they finish in the final game week is away to Ipswich. That could be very interesting. Could be West Ham's swan song to a few of their players. And why wouldn't they want to play very, very well? Those are the players that I'm thinking about bringing into my team over the next few weeks. In the forward line, it's Haaland, it's Wissa, and it's Cunha. 14, 12, and 13 expected points apiece. We see that Brentford towards the end of the season. Ipswich, Fulham, Wolves. It just looks so good, including Wolves. Manchester City probably looks better. They've got Southampton. Bournemouth, which won't be as easy as what we think, especially with the way Bournemouth love to press. But then they got Fulham on the final day, so you'd expect that to be a victory for them. And then with Wolves, they've got Brighton, Crystal Palace, and Brentford. So, yes and no. I think the time to go for Cunha is probably past, but if you have him, you definitely play him. He could be a great differential, though. But my concern with the way the pricing is now, if you spend a transfer, even in a -4 on a forward and they score a goal, that still might only be 6 or 7 points, which means you're only 2-point upside. But if you did that on a midfielder, the potential upside could be 6, 7, 8 points compared to what you spend. So the way the pricing is and the way the points these days are, I'll probably, if I was going for a -4, it'll have to involve a midfielder for me. But I'll leave that up to you, esteemed managers. You're probably having a better season. One other thing we need to think about as well is if we're trying to get the rank increased, if we're trying to get maximum points, we're trying to win those mini leagues, it's not just enough to have one player from each team. We need to consider some double ups. So I've got Brentford, I've got City, and I've got Forest. What double ups would you have for them? Well, let's start off with City. If you had De Bruyne and Haaland for the next 3 game weeks, your expected points are 25 between them. Now, that could be dramatically higher, could also be lower if either of them get benched this week. Southampton, Bournemouth, and Fulham, it's potential for points in all 3 of those games. And they could be playing for second as well, considering Arsenal are only 3 points ahead of them. They have a better for and against, but they are absolutely bottling everything they touch. Arsenal, they should work in a brewery. They're bottling so much that it's not going well. I expect City to finish strong. Brentford, this is probably my pick if you're going to have a double up, would be Wissa and Mbeumo. They've got Ipswich, they've got Fulham, they've got Wolves. Both of them scored almost 20 goals this season, and I expect that to continue the way they're playing. They are probably the form team in the league, and this is a form duo. Throw in Kevin Schade, who's also got 10 goals. You throw in Damsgaard, who's got 10 assists, and the team is just firing on all cylinders at the moment. So you want to get yourself a piece of some of that team. Famous last words, I'll just pump them up. They'll probably go through a dramatic crash in form. Third, but not least, is Nottingham Forest. Leicester, West Ham, Chelsea. A pretty good run towards the end of the season. The only concern will be that Chelsea game. That could be a playoff for 4th or 5th. Very interesting to see there. Chris Wood, Anthony Elanga. They'll be my recommended double up. You could potentially go with Morgan Gibbs-White, but I'd say Elanga is a bit more explosive than Gibbs-White could be. Expected points of 28, so actually higher than Haaland and De Bruyne, as you can see there. So Chris Wood needs to get himself back into some form. He went from being second in the league in terms of scoring goals, and he's only scored a couple goals in the last 10 or 15 games. So he needs to get back on track. Part of that will be Elanga. Part of that will be Gibbs-White. They can get him back into goal-scoring form. They know exactly what he needs. They just need to execute towards the end of the season. And for the Forest fans, it'll be extremely exciting considering they could go back to the Champions League after years in the world. All right, let's have a look at the FPL challenge for this week. It's the Chokers versus the Champions, Arsenal versus Liverpool. Realistically, I've got Saka in the team, and everyone else is from Liverpool. I've got the double up. I've got Alisson and Trent in defense. I've got Captain Mo Salah. I've got Cody Gakpo up front. Hopefully he gets a start, and I've got Saka there as well. It's a five-a-side. It's Liverpool, Arsenal. If you're not really interested in challenge, don't worry about it. But if you are, it's a bit of fun. You can spend a maximum 2 or 3 minutes on it, and you don't have to worry about it again. Let's have a look at my team for game week 36, and I've already made one transfer. If you know me, if you've watched these before, you know I make transfers early, much to my detriment most of the time. But this week I think it's done well because Mateta is on the verge of going down, I believe. So I've got Mateta out, and I've brought Wissa in this week. That's the only transfer I've made so far. I will be looking towards the end of the close to the deadline to see if I need to make another one. It says that Murillo is flagged, but I've been told by people who saw him come off he should be fine. So he's starting for me. I could take another -4 and get rid of Mellon, who's been a bit of a melon, to be honest, and bring in Sabio if he starts. But that's still a big risk. I'm not really sure if I need Sabio this week, considering Haaland's back. Marmouche should do the goods, but we'll see how we go. My captain this week is Mbeumo. I've brought in his buddy Wissa. So the team is Pope in goal at home to Chelsea. I'm hoping to get a clean sheet there, but I'm not really holding my breath. I've got Munoz away to Tottenham. I think he'll do well there. Vardiol at home to Southampton. That should be a clean sheet, but it's City, so it probably won't. I do think he can get some attacking prowess out of that game. Murillo at home to Leicester. I expect a clean sheet, and I expect him to be involved in the bonus. Bowen is away to Manchester United, and I expect him to score at least one. I don't think he's going to struggle there. Away to Ipswich is Mbeumo. He's the captain. I expect him to do very well. Kluivert at home to Villa. Now, Kluivert's had a couple of chances last week, but he didn't look back to his best. He didn't look great at all. But I think this is the type of game where he can do pretty well. I think he'll get a penalty, to be honest. It just feels like one of those games will be decided by something stupid. At home to Arsenal is Mo Salah. I expect him to probably blank, to be honest. I think there's a potential that Arsenal could go there and just play the most boring football known to man, purely because of what happened during the week when they lost to PSG. They lost to a better team, so you can't really discourage them. But it's either Liverpool's going to put 7 on them, or it's going to be like a 1-0 or 0-0 draw, I think. Chelsea away. Oh, sorry. Isaac at home to Chelsea. I think he'll do fine there. He should get a goal, or it should be. Should be very dangerous for them as well. My vice captain is Marmouche away to Southampton. It's time we saw some more out of Marmouche. Otherwise, I think he's going to go soon. I could bring in Cunha, or I could bring in Watkins for him. I've got the cash. As you can see, they've got 2 mil in the bank. And the new man, Wissa, away to Ipswich. So he's sitting in my team, ready to go. I've still got Flappy on the bench, which I need to get rid of him this week. Or next week or the week after, so I can play my bench boost. I'm a bit dubious about playing Houston on the bench at home to Villa. They could get a clean, but they could also concede. But I mean, I pumped up eight points last week on the bench from him. If he does it again, then it's just my fault, I guess. Malum was very unlucky last week, but he sits on the bench. He hit the crossbar once and maybe the post once against Fulham. So I did play him last week and got the 1 point, but it could have easily been 9 or 10. Timber's third deep on the bench because I'm not sure if he's going to play, and also they got no chance, really. It's just a Liverpool game. That's all it is, and they're going to win. So that's my team. That's how I line up. Pope and goal, Munoz, Vardiol, Murillo, Salah, Kluivert, Mbuemo, Bowen, Isaac, Mamouche, Wissa. Come on, team. 55 points. I want at least 75. I need to smash that rank. So who is going to be your captain? Don't forget to like and subscribe, as I always say. I really do appreciate it. I've noticed my subscriptions have slightly gone up recently on all socials, not just YouTube, but all of them. So thanks very much for that, and my follows. But don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment on who your captain is this week. I did a poll earlier in the week about who would bring in Haaland, and it was pretty much 55-45%. So everyone's still undecided. No one's going to make that decision until we get the late mail from City, those in the know, if we do. But until then, let me know who your captain is. Don't forget the deadline is 10:30 p.m. In Australia, and in the UK, it is 1:30 p.m., both on Saturday the 10th. That's all from me. I hope your arrows are green and your differential score hat tricks. My name's Luke, FPL Crusader. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And obviously, feel free to reach out to me with any questions or comments or just a discussion about FPL. I'm always here for it. Thank you very much. See you later.